Welcome to the Creative Obsession podcast. My name is Carrie and I come to you from just outside of Portland, Oregon. Today is June 15th, 2017. We are on episode 35 and welcome. Thank you for joining me, whether you're new or returning. This is my little channel where I talk about all things crafty, which includes knitting, crocheting, quilting, sewing, who knows, whatever. I have a pretty packed episode planned, so this may be a little bit of a longer episode. I've got a lot of things to share with you. I am not in front of my design wall because I didn't have a quilt to show you, and I have so much to talk about that I kind of wanted to skip that section. I am actually running out of quilts to show you. I only have a couple more left that I haven't put on the podcast. A lot of the quilts that I have made, I have given as gifts, so I don't have them to show you. So anyway, we're going to skip that section. All the links of where you can find me and any links to podcasts or websites or patterns or anything, I will put in the description box below so that you can find it and just click on it and go right to it. Yeah, so anyway, that's that. Skipping over the quilt section. I want to talk about, first of all, I'm going to talk about some sewing I did. Then I'm going to go into some birthday acquisitions. It was my birthday this past weekend, and I got together with my friends, and I want to share with you the things that I got as gifts and some acquisitions that I made. But first off, I want to talk about some sewing. As many people probably know, because everybody watches Amber of the Yarn Hoarder podcast, and if you don't watch her, you really, really should, because she's awesome. She started the No Pants Revolution, and she started making skirts. And this is something that really resonated with me because I don't wear shorts in the summer. I don't like to wear shorts. I don't look good in shorts, but I like to wear skirts. And I have been on a mission to try and find a skirt pattern that would work for me for the last several years. I even bought a Craftsy class that was how to draft out your own pattern. And I tried that, and I just could never get it to really fit me right. I just didn't have the right shape for the style of the pattern. It had a zipper, which was just a lot of fiddly. I just wanted something simple, something I can just knock around with in the summertime. Maybe in the winter wear it with some tights or something. So anyway, she had shown, let me put my notes down. She had shown this pattern, and it is 100 Acts of Sewing. It's found on Etsy. This is skirt number 1, and it's just a basic elastic waistband gathered skirt. And I thought, okay, perfect. I'm going to try that. So I bought some fabric. I got this kind of on the discount table. They have what's called flat folds. And it's basically like kind of end of bolt stuff where they only have maybe a couple of yards. And so they take the bolt cardboard out of it, and it's a flat fold, and it was a lot less money. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make a wearable muslin with it. So this is the skirt I made. It is a gray periwinkle kind of colored fabric with little, they look like Queen Anne's lace on it. So I thought, okay, perfect. So I made the skirt based on the pattern, based on the measurements, to see what size you wore and stuff. And it was pretty fine for the most part, but it had too much flare in it. It had way too much at the bottom. It just flared out too much. And so I altered the pattern. And I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. I used to sew my own clothes and stuff. I used to do that a lot when I worked in a professional setting and wore skirts and things, and I would make a lot of my own things. I was a lot smaller then, so it was a little easier. So I do have some sewing knowledge, as well as the fact that I have quilted now for a lot of years. But I tell you what, quilting and sewing garments, they're two separate things. It's like knitting and crocheting. You're still making something with yarn, but they're completely different. So I traced my pattern on the Swedish tracing paper. This isn't something you have to have, but I really do recommend this. It is a papery cloth, and I have used this for a while on different sewing projects, and I really like it. You write right on it, and you can sew this. I've never actually sewn it myself because I just go ahead and make whatever I'm making out of the fabric. So I took the pattern And I altered from about where the waist is. I figured how much was going to be folded over for the waistband. I did make my waistband with 1-inch elastic. I got the no roll elastic, so it's a little stiffer so that it doesn't fold over on your waist. So I knew I was going to do a 1-inch as opposed to the 1/2 inch that they recommend in the pattern. So I just made the alterations for that. I did add a pocket, and that's in the bag, but it's just a basic teardrop pocket. I couldn't find any of my clothing patterns to pull a pocket pattern from that. I don't know where they all went. I don't think I got rid of them, but I may have. I may have gotten rid of all my clothing patterns. But so I got online, followed a link that Amber had given for the teardrop pocket, and I just did that. And I figured out where the pocket was going to sit so that the top of the pocket would get caught in that waistband. And that what that'll do is making sure that you have them folded when you're sewing your pattern together with your pocket, that they go towards the same side on both sides. So they're both like coming to the front, and they're sewn that way. And that way they always stay towards the front. And then what I did is I took this ruler. I think this is called a French ruler. I don't know. Something I got on Amazon. It has a curve. So you have a hip curve area, armhole. I mean, you just kind of use it based on the type of curve you want to do. And I just went along where the pattern was, wanting to kind of keep some hip shaping. But then I wanted to go down. I wanted it to go in at the bottom. I needed to knock off a bunch of that extra bulk that I had. And so I went from the size I was making and curved it and continued down to the extra small bottom. And that made it perfect. It's still got a little bit of flare, but it's not like huge. I don't need to add bulk to me. I've got plenty of my own. Thank you very much. So, and that made the skirt just fit perfectly. The length was perfect for me. I'm only 5'4", 5'5". I don't know. I've been 5'5", but I have a feeling I might be getting a little shorter. So I'm going to say I'm 5'5", because who's going to prove me wrong, right? So it ended up being the right length for me. The pattern does call for you to do it on the bias, which I did do with this pattern, but I don't know why you need to do that. The bias, so the fabric is woven like this. And so you've got your straight of grain and your cross grain. And if you cut on the bias, you're cutting on the diagonal of that, which gives it more stretch. This pattern doesn't need stretch. It's not a fitted pattern. If you had something that was fitted, you might need that extra give, but this pattern doesn't need it because it's a fuller skirt. So you use a lot more fabric when you cut it on the bias, and I just don't think that that's necessary. So I did make another one out of some scrap fabric, and I don't know where I put it because it's ugly, and I'm going to take it out and just use the elastic out of it because I don't like the fabric. But just doing it on the straight of grain. So when you do it on the straight of grain, oh, I should have pulled that fabric. Let me get some fabric so I can show you. All right, so this is the skirt I made out of the ugly fabric. And this is fabric I have had for years. A friend of mine was cleaning out and getting rid of a bunch of fabric. And it was at the time when I was first learning to quilt. And I thought, you can't get rid of that fabric. It was like a couple yards, you know, like you can't get rid of that. I'll use it for something. I'm not going to use it for anything. So I made a skirt out of it, which I will never wear because I never wear these colors. These aren't good colors for me. But this is made on the straight of grain. So this doesn't have that same stretch. It's going to be more fixed. But what I did, so when you have your fabric, this is what's left over from it. So you have your fabric, you've got your selvage edge. Never ever put your selvage edge into any garment or quilt, because the selvage edge is where it's connected at the mill, and it's a tighter weave. It's the selvage. It's not meant to be in things. I have seen people use, cut their fabric to use as backings of their quilts, and they leave the selvage edge in. It reacts differently than the rest of your fabric. So anyway, and it's ugly, and you shouldn't use it in your clothing. But the way you can get straight of grain is either by matching up both of the selvage edges and you match those up, and then you make sure at the bottom when it's draping that it's straight. When it comes off the bolt, because of the way that it's folded on the bolt and it's folded over and over and over to make a bolt of fabric, the crease that comes on your fabric is often crooked. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it on the bottom. Oops, sorry for all the flipping around. But can you see how that's kind of off on the bottom, and it's got this weird, it's not laying flat. You're never going to get that to lay flat. It's always going to have that kind of twist. You don't want that to be your fold line when you make your skirt, because you cut your skirt out on the fold, or anything that you sew on the fold. So what you do is you line up your selvages and you kind of just go back and forth until you get that bottom edge to be nice and flat. Now you're on the straight of grain. You can't always go by the print because they're not necessarily printed on the straight of grain, but if you don't do that before cutting, what you're making will end up being skewed and weird. So that's one way to get straight of grain. Another way to do it is to, depending on if you have a directional fabric and which direction you need to make it, if you take the one end of selvage and fold it back on itself and use that, that will give you the straight of grain. So if you're making this skirt or any skirt like it, and you've got a fabric that's maybe directional, you're not going to want to do like I did with this one on the bias, because then your print's going to be going the wrong way. And it doesn't need it for this. So cutting on the straight of grain works fine. You only end up needing about 1.5 yards when you cut on the straight of grain. If you cut and follow what the pattern says and you cut it on the bias, you need like 2.5. So it cuts down 1 yard of fabric. And if you're buying quality cotton, you're looking at about $12 a yard. So it cuts the cost of your skirt down quite a bit. Once you get it to fit you and you've made your trial piece, however it is that you do that, then it goes really fast. So I'm planning on making some more, and I'll show you some fabric that I just got. Let me clear some of this stuff off. A couple tips that I have. Some of the things that you're going to need when you do so is some sort of a seam gauge. This is what's most commonly found. You can find these at Joann's. They're really inexpensive. A little metal ruler type thing, and this little seam guide moves, so you can set it for 1 inch or whatever, and every time you go along you measure this, it's 1 inch. The problem with these is they move really easily, so you could be going along and doing your thing, and next thing you know it's moved, and now your hem or your seam or whatever it is you're doing has changed sides. So what I like to use is this. This is a seam guide by Clover. It's a Nancy's Notion, and Nancy Zeman is well known in the sewing industry. She's been around forever. And what makes this different, it is plastic, so you can't iron directly on it, but this locks, and you push this little button and you can set it for whatever, and it'll stay there. So this is my favorite type of marker. I've had it for a while, so I'm not really sure where you can get it. I'm sure at your fabric store, quilt store may have them. So I really like using this. Another trick I wanted to share is when you're doing something like the hem, or you're turning over the waistband and you need to turn it over 1/4 inch, and then you need to turn it over another inch. I like to use this. This is just something I made on cardstock paper. So it's a little bit of a thicker paper, and I marked on here with a micron pen. So here's a micron pen. The reason why I use this is because it's permanent and it doesn't bleed. So when you use steam or you have water, it's not going to get marker on your fabric. And I just marked on this paper 5/8 inch, 1 inch, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch. And what I do is, let me grab my fabric. And say I was going to need to press 1/4 inch. I'd find my 1/4 inch line on the ironing board, and I would just fold my fabric over. This is hard to do and hold up at the same time. Anyway, I'd fold it over, match it to the line of the depth that I need to turn, so it's going to be folded over, say like that, and then I would just press right over the paper. Slide it over and do the same thing. And then I have the most common measurements that I use. So I would go do my 1/4 of an inch, go along, and then I need to flip it to an inch. I would use the other side where I have my inch mark and go along and press it right on the paper. And then when this gets, after a while, it gets kind of worn out and gets kind of funky, just make another one. So I just took my ruler. I have a clear rotary cutting ruler, and I just put it on the edge and just marked. And then I marked on here what my measurements are. So that makes making a seam or a long piece that you have to do in a certain width makes it a little bit easier to do that. Another thing I like to do, instead of pinning my Swedish tracing paper to my fabric, it's common to just use weights or something. And so I just have these big washers. I just went to the hardware store and bought a bunch of these big washers. They're kind of heavy and they're kind of flat. And I'll just lay these down and then cut. And I cut with my rotary cutter where I can. So I just carefully, because I'm not using a ruler because of the curve, and I just slowly go along with my rotary cutter, and then you can cut it out a lot faster. Once that has been sewn and I'm good with where everything's going to go, I can do pinking shears on the seams, or I do this. I have the rotary cutter with a beveled, or not beveled, but like a wavy blade in it, acts like a pinking, and I just go along the edge of that. This is what I do, and I think I've mentioned this before in a previous episode, but I do this before I pre-wash my fabric. On the cut ends, not on the selvage ends, but on the cut ends, I just take a strip off the end, and it keeps it all from fraying and completely falling apart when you go to wash it. So that's a little tip too. So, okay, those are all my little tips, but let me show you the fabric that I got. I'm gonna make, this one has little kind of drawings of trailers and tents and teepees and stuff. It's very camping kind of related, and I figured any kind of t-shirt would look good with that. This one is like sea glass, little pebbles of sea glass. This one is a tulip pink design with little snails on it. I thought it was kind of cute, and it's always good to have a pink skirt. And then this one's just a real fun navy background with some bright colored flowers on it. I also got this fabric to maybe make bags out of, but I think I might make a skirt out of it as well because I have enough, is these llamas with cactuses. Oh, that was pretty cute. So that might be a skirt too. So my goal is to make a bunch of skirts before we go on our Yellowstone trip and have those to wear instead of shorts. I like to wear skirts in the summer if I can. I like to hike in skirts if I can. I actually hiked when I did my 2014 PCT hike across Oregon. I wore a skirt, and it was a skirt designed for hiking, so it was like a quick dry fabric and had pockets in the right spot and everything, and I loved it. So I'm really excited to actually have a skirt pattern that fits and that's easy to make. So hopefully I'll make some of those this weekend to take with camping. So that's all the sewing stuff I have right now. So I'm going to go into my birthday bash. Okay, I want to tell you about my birthday. So my birthday was on Sunday, but on Saturday I got together with my friends Michelle and Leslie of the Naughty Knitwits podcast, our friend Lori, and Angelique of Black Sheep Yarn. And we were treated with Darlene coming from Texas. Darlene is also known as the awesome maker of Bags by Awesome Granny. And her husband were on a road trip on their motorcycles and took a detour into Oregon so that she could spend the day with us. And it was just, she's amazing. She's so fun. I wish she lived closer, Darlene. I wish you lived closer. But I was really touched and lucky, I feel, to have had her join us and meet her and all that stuff. It was just really fun. We had a fun day. So Saturday was Knit in Public Day. And so we did, and we just decided to do a little yarn crawl kind of a thing and drug Darlene with us. Angelique drove us all because we could fit in her car, and it was a lot of fun. Before we hit the road, they gave me some gifts, which was really lovely. One of them is what I'm wearing. This was a shawl that Leslie made using my yarn. So this is Visions of Sugar Plums and Granite. And I believe it is the Good Vibes shawl. And as she was making it, I'm thinking, I need to make one of those. That just looks really good. I like the size. I like the fact that it's got some wavy lines. Let me take it off and I'll show you. And so she gave it to me. She made it for, I don't know if she originally made it for me, but it turned out to be for me, and I'm so thrilled. So as you can see, it's got those beautiful wavy lines. I was gonna make one when I saw hers. I thought I need to make one. Now I don't need to make one. I might make one in different colors, but it needs to be a later project because I got too many others that I want to make. That was really touching. I have never had anybody knit me anything before. I don't often get things like that made for me, and so I was really, really touched. Also, through their generosity, which it's really hard for me to accept gifts. I love to give gifts, but accepting them makes me a little uncomfortable. But I did my best. I did my best to take it for what it was. So Lori gave me this really beautiful purple sateen. I don't know that it's silk, but it feels like silk. Maybe it is silk. Oh, it is silk. Silk project bag with little yo-yos on it. So pretty. And then gave me this yarn. Oops. I'm snagged. Okay. So this yarn, oh my gosh, you guys. Really? I was wearing a shirt that was exactly these colors, and it was like Rainbow Fest for me. So this is Mountain Colorway. Mountain Colors. It is 53% superwash merino, 17% wool, 17% silk, and 13% nylon. I am going to make the co-pilot shawl because I love that shawl. I have one that I made prior that I've shown. It's a really nice, more like an infinity scarf kind of thing. Easy, and it's a nice size. I love the way it hangs, and I know that I will wear that a lot. And the co-pilot shawl was one that Lori told me about. So I thought, a pattern that Lori told me about, made with yarn that Lori gave me in colors that are absolutely perfect for me. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. I'm considering taking that with us on our trip, but I don't know. I think I have plenty. I don't know, I might. You never know. So then I was also gifted by them, by Leslie and Michelle and Angelique, some of Angelique's yarn. And so she, like I had said, she is, sorry, I got the wrong way. She is Black Sheep Yarn Company. And I have Tea Time, which is lavender with like a mint green and some soft pink. And I have Lavender, which is a tonal lavender color. And Pearls and Lace, which is a beautiful, soft, peachy tan color. All on sparkle base. And so I was opening it and I was just like so happy because they nailed it. And then Angelique says, you know, you've got your fade going there. I thought, oh, I've been wanting to make the So Faded sweater. And so I thought, oh, okay, I don't know that I can use this. I was thinking of putting it on the bottom because I can't really wear it next to my face. It's not a great color right up next to my face. So I thought, oh, I'll do this. And so then, obviously, 2 skeins of yarn's not going to make a sweater for me. I wish, but it's not going to happen. So I decided I'm going to dye some to kind of go with it. So this is a very similar color, but I put a little more blue in it, and I dyed this. So it'll be a very, very soft fade. And then I did this one, which has, it's not any darker, but I put more punches of color. And so I think this is going to be my fade when I get around to doing it. So that was really, really sweet and just really nice. Another thing that Lori gave me, and I forgot to show this last time. She brought it over when they came over last time. Sorry, hate to crinkle. And I forgot to show it. But it is a tape measure. It's the cutest turtle tape measure. Oh, you don't pull his head, you pull his tail. Pull his tail, and it's the tape measure, and then it's got the button release inside of it. So this came from Lantern Moon, handcrafted, lanternmoon.com, so you can look that up, but it's really cute. It's really cute. And then she also gave me these really cute like tags to put on gifts that you knit or crochet. So that was really sweet. So I consider that to be part of my birthday present. Michelle also gave me Desert Vista Dye Works, and this is the colorway Fern Gully, which I really love because Fern Gully is one of my favorite movies. It's dated, it's older, it's an animated movie that came out maybe in the early 90s, probably mid 90s maybe. And it's just got such a great message. I just thought it was so sweet. I would watch that with my kids when they were little all the time, over and over again. So the colorway is really cool. It's self-striping yarn. I've never used Desert Vista Dye Works yarn before, so that will be really fun. And so, yeah, so that was really cool. I got some hand lotion and just, yeah, some little things. I got this little thing is the Sock Doctor, right there. The Sock Doctor, and it is a little keychain fob type of thing. And it gives you the different parts, the anatomy of a sock, and on the back side is the Kitchener stitch. Inside here is a little needle. Now I probably won't use the plastic needle, but I still think it's kind of cute. So that was really neat. So it was just really cool. It was just, I felt special that day. And, you know, since Darlene did come to see me and shared herself with the rest of them, that was pretty cool. So when we did go, we knitted in public, and we went to Twisted Yarn Shop. That's some of the footage you saw at the beginning of the video. And I didn't purchase anything there. I had some ideas, but I thought I can always go back and get it. But then we went to Starlight Knitting, which is also in Portland, and it's in a different area of Portland, which I think we were closer to where Michelle lived. It didn't seem like we were very far once we left from there. Don't really know where we were. But I did buy some stuff. One of the things that I fell in love with is Love is Love. So this is a DK weight set. These are each individual skeins of yarn, and they're each 75 grams, 75 yards. They're each 75 yards. And I saw this and it was like, oh my gosh, what is this? I was carrying it around like a baby. Just like, this has to come home with me. I was just so pulled to it because it's a rainbow and it's colorful and it's perfect. So she said, the gal at the store said what this was used in is the Colors of Love shawl. And so I got the pattern. I bought the pattern and I'm going to make it. I'm going to dye. Can you see where there's like the background is kind of a speckled white with speckles of black on it? I'm going to dye some really dark charcoal gray to go with this. That'd be cool. I'm excited. I love DK weight shawls. And it's a rainbow and it's pretty, and yeah. So that's going to be an upcoming project. I have to wait till I get back from vacation because I've got to go into vacation mode here as far as prepping, and then I'm gonna I've got stuff I'm already taking. I'm not gonna take this, but that's gonna be soon. Another shawl I want to make, Janine of the Yarn and You Girl has written a new pattern. Michelle is test knitting it now, and it's a really pretty pattern. It's made with DK weight yarn. So I'm going to be dyeing up some more DK for my shop because DK is awesome. So that's my yarn. That was my yarn baby. You know, some people talk about a yarn baby. This was my yarn baby. Okay, so let's get on to we'll do some finished objects. Last episode I talked about my Chemo Cap Cal, which I'm hosting. The idea is to knit or crochet hats to be donated to chemo centers or hospitals or somebody that you know that is battling cancer and is going through chemo. I did this last year and it was great, and I decided to make it an annual thing. June is my birthday month, so every June I'm going to have the Chemo Cap Cal. So I did knit one. I've got one done, and this is the laced edge chemo cap, I think is what it is. I'll put a link down below. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I knit this with Cascade Ultra Pima, I think is what it was called. I don't have the tag anymore. And so it's just a really nice soft cotton, but beautiful. So that went really well. I started to cast on another one and it wasn't going so well, so I'll talk about that. But Leslie also made a hat and gave it to me when I was with her. So she made the barley hat, and she made this out of Quince & Co. I don't know which version. It's their worsted, at least. It's a pretty thick yarn, but so that was really sweet. That's the barley hat. It has, there we go, it has a panel of garter, so that's really nice. I'm going to go into then what I started to make another laced edge one, and for some reason I couldn't get my lace count to be right, and I thought I really honestly did not have the brain power last week to do a whole lot of anything. I was really, I really struggled. I had a rough week last week for a number of different reasons, but I needed to knit stuff that was pretty simple, and so I started the Ricky hat. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it makes kind of makes a sort of slouchy hat. So I thought, okay, that might be kind of nice. I didn't have any more of that Cascade Ultra Pima, and so I thought, let me try some of the Bamboo Pop. So I got a couple skeins. This is the one I'm using. Don't know the color because I don't have the tag. I don't know where the tag went, but it's this color. It's a variegated pink. And so right now I've just done what's considered the brim, and so I just changed to bigger needles to do the body of the hat, and it's just garter stitch. The unfortunate part about doing garter stitch in the round is that means you have to knit a row and then purl a row and knit a row and purl a row. So you do have to do purl, but come on, it's not killing me. So I had Jim try this on because cotton just has a really different feel to it. I was feeling like it was going to be really big, but it fit him, and it fit him kind of loosely, which I thought would feel really nice in the summer. So I will continue doing that. This is going to be one of the projects I take with me to travel with. We have a really long drive the first day and the last day, and so I know I'll get a lot of car knitting in then, as well as probably in the evenings. So that is my next Chemo hat. Did I have another? Yeah, I did all my FOs. Okay. So part of the Chemo Cap Cal is, that you knit or crochet a hat. And so I have a finished objects thread in the Ravelry group. And if you could post a picture of what you made, if you have a pattern, that'd be really nice to know what that is. And if you can even give like how you're donating it, because maybe somebody in your area could benefit from having that knowledge. And I was contacted by Chris of Chestnut Fibers to donate a bag for the Cal, and I just got it yesterday. And she sent this most adorable bag. I love this bag. She is a very quality sewist in making the bags. This fabric is so cute, and adding that purple bottom with a handle. She's got a real pretty green paisley on the inside, and then there's a zippered inside pocket with another lining fabric on the inside of that. So really well done. I highly recommend checking out her shop, especially if you're in the United States, because our dollar goes a little further purchasing from somebody in Canada. She is out of Canada. But really nice, really nice. It's got a pretty stiff interfacing, which will stand up really well. She also sent for me to keep, and I'm going to keep it because I love this fabric so much, is a needle holder. So this actually matches the bag, but since I can't keep the bag, I'm keeping the needle holder because she said I could. So this has the same green fabric on the inside. So Chris, thank you so much. Please go check out her shop, Chestnut Fibers. She makes quality stuff. And like I said, our dollar goes quite a ways when you buy out of Canada. So that's a plus for us. Another work in progress that I started my June socks, and I'm just getting to putting on the toe. So I just started changing colors to put on a gray, to do this dark gray. This gray is just a Premier, what is this, Deborah Norval, and I don't know what, it is wool. It's wool wool and rayon and bamboo. So it's pretty nice. I just got some skeins of this when I went to, I think I was at Joann's or Michael's, to use for heels and toes. So it's working out really well. The yarn I'm using is my yarn. This is Campfire. This is one of the first versions of it. Right now, the way I'm doing it, I have a little bit more vibrant of colors, but this one didn't turn out as vibrant, so it became mine. I tried a new heel. Followed Mina's German short row heel. That it comes with her vanilla sock pattern, I think is what it's called. I had bought her New York series patterns, and I haven't knit any of them. And I might not. It was a good deal. It wasn't like it was going to break the bank. But she gives her German short row heel pattern. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. So I was going along, and so you're doing your wraps and turns to do your short rows. And I did something and moved my hand, and it pulled all my stitches off the needle. Well, you've got wraps and turns and stuff, and there was no way I could put that back on. So I ripped it out. I got really frustrated. I thought, forget it. I'm just going to go to my heel flap and gusset. I know how to do that. It's all going to be good. I'm just going to stick with that. And I was watching Christy's podcast, the Relatively Crafty podcast, and she was talking about something. I can't remember now what it was, and sticking with something like, no, I'm going to learn it. And she was talking to me as I was having this frustrating episode. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do like Christy's doing, and I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to learn this German short row heel because it may be easier, it may be something that fits me better, and I need to give it a chance. So I recast that part on, tinked it back to start it over, and I think it's going to fit. I did the version, excuse me just a second, I did the version that gives an extension. I don't know if you can see right here. She has you do something a little different to give you more room for your instep, because that's where I end up getting tight because I have a higher arch. So when I had gotten to about here from the top down and tried it on, and it seemed to fit. So I'm fingers crossed. I'm at the toe, and I will let you know. That was bribing. So that is that. And so what am I got? Okay, let me check my notes, and then we'll see what's next. Another whip that I have that I've been working on is my Sunshine Coast sweater. I started this a little while ago and then put it down because I was really trying to get that wedding crocheted blanket. I'm trying to find the front cover. Here it is. So here's the sweater. It's Sunshine Coast by Heidi Kermeyer. And I am making it out of bamboo pop, cotton, and bamboo blended yarn to make like a summery kind of sweater. So I hadn't been working on it because like I said, I was trying to get that crocheted blanket done for the wedding gift. And I did give that. In fact, I think the last time I recorded, I was going to the wedding that night. And I feel like I've got a fuzz in my eye. And so I did hear from the mother of the bride. She messaged me because we're friends, and she says, she just said how pleased they were to get it, and they, thought that was really special. So that felt good that they liked it. So anyway, I was really kind of concentrating on getting that done, and I just put my sweater aside, and I had it. Oh, sorry. One of the reasons why I didn't work on it is because I had the sweater up here. I had my bag with the sweater in it upstairs here, but I knit downstairs, like when we're watching TV at night. And so I didn't have it with me. And so I'd settle down and I'd start working on socks, and I'd think, oh, I should work on my sweater. I'm like, oh, but it's upstairs. And so finally I brought it downstairs, and then it was perfect knitting to pick up. One of my issues was that I had lost count of where I was. I explained this on a previous episode. I use a app to keep track of, what row I'm on, how many stitches, whatever. And I had gotten a new phone, and so the information didn't transfer onto my new phone, and I didn't know where I was. So I'm just knitting, and I'm going around until I get to the correct stitch count, because I'm doing increases. It's increasing across the front and the sleeve and whatever it's doing. I'm not really sure what it's doing because I've never made a sweater before. So I picked it back up and kind of got my bearings on what it is. It's making more sense to me now, and so I'm finding it a little bit easier to work on because it's making sense. I know I kind of get the idea of what's happening, of where the increases go and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue knitting on it until I get to the correct stitch count, and then I'll know where I'm at exactly on the pattern as far as how many rows I have to do of things. It's getting big enough now that I need to put it on a new cable, so I'm ready to do that. I got to switch it over. So last time I showed you, I was where that marker is, right there. That's the front. So, you know, I got quite a bit done. It is, I don't want to lose my stitches. I need to get it back on my, oh, I know what I could do. Where did I put it? Oh, shoot, I don't know where it is. I need to put it on my stitch holder thing, which fell to the floor. So, I'm finding it to be a really easy knit because you're just knitting in the round, and then every other row you're doing some increases. But now, like I said, that's making more sense to me. And so, that's going a little bit easier. So I think once I get done increasing, I'm separating for the sleeves. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens when I get there because I don't know. But this is going to come with me for traveling because I think I could, as long as it doesn't get too complicated, I think I can work on this while we're driving. And it's a good, I don't really have to count necessarily. I just have to kind of knit around. And so if I'm visiting and stuff, I can do this. If I get too distracted with something that I have to kind of keep a mental count of where I'm at, then it's not good. So yeah, I did get that back out. I haven't forgotten about it. It is going to be done. When this is done, I'm starting on the So Faded sweater because that's what has to happen next. Along with some of the knitting I've been doing, I have also been doing some crochet. Once I got done with the wedding blanket, I knew I wanted to start another crochet blanket. One of my friends' daughter's having a baby girl in August, and I thought, oh good, I'll make a baby blanket. So I was at a craft store and I found this big skeins of Bernat Pop, and it's an acrylic yarn, self-striping. You can see the striping there. And I thought, oh, perfect, little girl quilt, little girl blanket. I'll do that. I really wanted to try the corner to corner, so I thought, okay, that'd be great. So the ball information calls for an H hook, which is a 5mm, and the gal at the store says go up a size because that's pretty thick. And so I went to an I hook, and I liked the technique of going corner to corner, but I wasn't liking the fabric it was making. It wasn't as soft as I thought it would be because it feels pretty soft in the ball. And it's just kind of thick and chunky, and that's not what I had envisioned in giving her. So I got that far, learned how to do it, looked up a YouTube video. I think I looked at Bella Coco, and it's really pretty simple. Once you get past the first couple of rows, and it's easy peasy. This was crocheting up really fast because it's a pretty thick yarn. It's a heavy worsted. I just wasn't super happy with how it was going. So I thought, no, that's not what I want to do. And also, I went to the thrift store and found this bag. It is the perfect big knitting bag. So check your local thrift store. So I decided, okay, no, I want to do something different. I looked to see where she was registered and kind of saw the color she was going with. And so I changed gears and I got Lion Brand ice cream in the Tutti Frutti because these are the colors that she was using. This is a DK weight yarn, so it's a far cry from the big bulky stuff, but the fabric it's making is so much better. So let me pull it out. I think I'm tangled up in here. Okay, there we go. So it's ice cream yarn. I gotta use my Sucre miniature that Michelle gave me as it holds my stitch. So when I take my hook out, it holds my stitch. Anyway, this is what I got going so far. So much better. It's a lighter weight. It's really soft and just something that you can picture a baby being cuddled up with. So of course I just had to I'm just going to start it, right? I'm just going to start it, make sure that I'm liking my needle size and, well, this is where I'm at. This This is why it's hard for me to put it down. This is it. This I want to work on this. I want to work on this all the time. So I'm like doing my socks for a while, and then it's like I just feel like I need to change. Sometimes my fingers start to go numb, and so I'm like I need to change. So I grab this. Now I've already started on this right about here is where I started a new ball. So that's one whole ball. Here you can see my yarn right there. So that's one whole ball from there down to the corner. And so the idea is you just keep adding on, and then when you get it to be as wide as you want it, you stop, and then you start decreasing, and then you fill in the other half of the triangle. I'm not a real big fan of square blankets. I don't like square quilts. I don't like square blankets. So there is a way that you can continue making it longer without making it wider. So when I get to a point, I'm almost to 36 inches. I'm going to go a little bit wider, and then I got to look up and see what I have to do to just keep making it grow longer. And then when it gets as long as I want, then I'll do whatever you need to do to finish it off. So I've got 2 more balls of this. So when this is done, I have to turn regardless of where I'm at, because I'm not buying any more of this yarn. So also what I'm going to do is once it gets done, I mean, it's got this really nice edge on it, but I'm going to crochet an edge. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but this is their Baby Soft. And so I'm going to do that along the edge all the way around. It could just be, rounds of single crochet just to give it a border. So that is definitely going with me. That is going to be some car knitting, not car knitting, car stitching. Let's put it that way. So it calls for an H 5mm needle, but I'm using a 4.5. I went down a little bit just to make this a little bit thicker, so it wasn't so lacy. But I wouldn't mind curling up in this, honestly. So that's been a fun project. So I will have my socks, my sweater, and this blanket. And I think I have to that's all I'm bringing. If I don't get my chemo hat done, then I'll bring that with me. And that's plenty. I'm only gone for a couple of weeks. I always overpack. Once we get to Yellowstone, I don't imagine we're going to be sitting around a whole lot. It's mostly going to be just for the car rides and in the evenings if we are hanging around at the evenings to do some stuff. So I always overestimate how much I'm going to work on. So I'm going to try and keep it manageable. That, I think, let me check my notes. That's all I've got to share with you for that. I do have some stuff for the shop that I want to talk about. So if you're not interested in that, then this is where we will part ways. Thank you so much for watching. If you are curious about what's going to happen in the shop, then hang out with me for a couple more minutes. As you can see behind me, I have a couple of bags. This I showed me quilting this design on Instagram, and so I made it into a bag. This is a pretty good sized bag. This would be like a sweater bag or a small blanket. I've got this print on the back. It's got a vinyl bottom, a mustardy yellow zipper, and just a natural inside with pockets. I've only got 2 of these in this side. I am currently stitching up some more to make a little bit smaller bags, but I can't quilt for very long because it makes my shoulder actually seized up the other day when I was quilting, and I couldn't lift my arm, so I had to completely stop. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do anything. So I sat and watched movies and put ice on my shoulder, and I had to wait it out. So those will go in the shop after I get back from vacation. I'm going to put my shop on vacation from June 20th to July 8th. I think I have it scheduled. And then when I get back, I'll have some new bags in there. I've got to get the bags that I've got started stitching on the machine, kind of get those finished. And I want to have some new yarn in there. I don't know how much dyeing I'm going to get done because I need to only work on that kind of stuff tomorrow. And then I need to go into vacation mode because I've got food I got to plan and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I need to get my brain in there. A couple of things that will go in the shop before I leave is I did dye up some sock blanks. So I did a couple of red, white, and blue because 4th of July is coming up. And I thought that would be fun. So I've got that one that'll kind of stripe up. This one is just going to be a crazy variegated red, white, and blue. Just squiggly on both sides. This one is, I love this one because it's colorful. That one's just got, it's got everything. I don't know, it's just got a lot of everything. So there's that. And then the last one I have is a green one with some navy. That's kind of washing out, but it's a green with some navy and some yellow on it. I did just get another shipment of yarn in yesterday, and with that I got some sparkle sock blanks. So I'm going to do some of those up after I get back. That's not going to happen for a while. Like I said, I've got, today will be editing day to get the podcast up. Tomorrow I'm going to finish up what I've got on my long arm to make more of the dandelion bags. And I don't know if I'm going to get some dyeing done before I go, because next week I've really got to focus on getting myself ready to go. I've got some skirts to make. I've got to prepare some food and all that. So I am not going to have a new episode up until I get back from vacation. It will be probably about mid-July before I record again. So it'll be about a month. And it's going to feel really awkward to get back to it. But I'll do it. And it's probably going to be a longer episode because I'm probably going to talk about all things Yellowstone. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'm going to apologize now that you're going to see a bunch of road trip pictures. Hopefully some knitting out in the wild. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I have never been to Yellowstone. It's been one of the places I've been wanting to go for a long time. Traveling with some friends and camping, and I don't even know what we're going to do. And it's really kind of cool because I'm usually the type that's planning everything out, researching everything. We can go here, we can go there. And one of our friends, one of the couples, has been there before. And so they're going to kind of take the lead on that, which is really exciting to actually not have to do that. So who knows what we'll do, which is really fun. I know when we did a really long trip several years ago, we went down to Utah to Bryce Canyon and Zion and stuff. And I knew I wanted to see Bryce Canyon. I didn't really know what was there necessarily. Same with Zion. And so we went and we just sort of allowed ourselves to just do whatever came up. And it was one of the best trips we've ever had. We saw and did some amazing things because we were just open to anything happening. So there is something to be said about not over planning. I do know that I need, you know, whatever food I'm going to need, and bring all kinds of clothes and things because I don't know whether it's going to be warm or cold or rainy or snowy or whatever. So fingers crossed we have good weather, and it will be really good. So until I see you again, please enjoy your crafty and sewing and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you when I'm back on from vacation. Thank you for watching.